วัสดีค่ะ
Hi guys, welcome to another video. We're coming to you again from Ben Chikiti Park, which is at the end of Soi 10, can be accessed from many different sois actually. I'm here with Eric and I thought this would be quite an interesting video. Eric's 38, he's been here 5 years in Thailand, and I thought it would be quite interesting to get to ask him some things about how he gets on here, being nearly half of my age. So thanks for joining me today, Eric. Good to have you here. And so you've been here 5 years?
Almost 5 years, yeah.
And what first brought you to Thailand?
Well, I think like a lot of people, I never planned to move to Thailand, but I visited once, I visited twice, and then I thought it'd be nice to go for a month during the winter, because I'm from Boston, and in Boston it's cold winter. I'm not into the cold weather, so I was also going through a breakup at that time, so I said I'm gonna go for a month. Here we are 4.5 years later.
Yeah. That happens to a lot of people. They come out here on vacation, they end up staying here for sort of years and years and years. So the first question I really want to ask you, Eric, because obviously you're under 50, you're a long way under 50. Once you get to 50, it's that magic number where you can get a retirement visa and you haven't got to worry about how you can stay here. So you're 38.
I'm 34.
You're 34, sorry, a few years on you there. So you're 34, and how have you managed to stay here for is it continually 5 years, or do you break it up?
It's been on and off, sometimes longer. The longest I've stayed here basically in one swoop was about 9 months.
9 months,
But I do have a business in the US, so I go back there sometimes. But it's been more and more here. So like this year, I'll be here over 10 months out of the year.
Do you mind if I tell the viewers what your business is, what you do?
Yeah, so I have a business producing concert events. That's my main business. And then we also have another side business about filming and photography. So that's all in the US though. We don't do it here. But I love living here so much. That's why I stay out here.
And I'm guessing you'd like to try and do as much of that business as you can from here, possibly.
I would like to. Maybe in a year or so, we'll try to move things over here. But it's so different here, especially with anything to do with business, that it's kind of its own animal.
Yeah. It's very costly to set up your own business, as you know, and there's a lot of hoops to jump through. So. As far as your own visa goes, I mean, how have you managed to kind of stay out here for such a? Are you on a?
Yeah, sure. So the short answer is, for the first 4-ish years, I was here only on tourist visas.
Okay.
In different variations of that. So the big tip I can give you is, if you know you're going to want to be here for an extended period of time, like more than a few months, my recommendation would be to go for a multiple entry tourist visa.
Okay.
Because what that is it's valid for 6 months. But if you enter Thailand on the 5th month and last day, so right before it expires, they'll stamp you in again for another 60 days plus a 30-day extension.
So what you're saying is you come in on a 6 months multiple entry tourist visa,
right?
And you go out on the end of the 5th month.
So you have to leave every 90 days.
Okay.
But if you time it right, you can essentially get 9 months out of it.
Okay.
Yeah, which most people don't realize, because it looks like a 6-month visa, but if you come in on the last day, they give you a fresh stamp.
And where can people find out more about this information?
You have to apply through the embassy in your country, and every embassy has slightly different requirements.
Right.
It is a little harder to get than a normal tourist visa. They might ask for like longer period of bank statements or something like that. But if you can get it, it solves a lot of problems. So definitely recommend that.
Just kind of in a nutshell, what are the requirements that they ask? Because it's different from a regular 30 days on arrival.
It's not too much different, and it varies from country to country. So in the US, what they asked me for, I believe, was 6 months of bank statements, and I think they wanted to see like an average balance of like 7,000 US or something like that. But it can be different, and just because they say this is a requirement, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get rejected. No. It really depends on the person reviewing too. And if you don't get approved for it, they're just going to give you a normal tourist visa. So it's not like the end of the world.
Right. And what do they ask you? Why you want to spend so much time in Thailand?
Yeah, they will ask you like, why do you want a multiple entry tourist visa? And so the reason I gave is just because I wanted to travel around Southeast Asia during that time. So I think when I had it, I went to like Cambodia for a week or two, and then I came back. So it would be annoying to have to keep reapplying. Yeah,
and would you, I mean, if you set your company up properly out here where you're here most of the time, will you eventually go for a work permit? Because they're really strict now.
Yeah, so the thing with visas now, and same thing with the retirement visa, is they're cracking down a lot.
Big time.
And just because, the mistake I see a lot of people make is, just because something worked a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, even last month, it doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. And you have to really think about what they're going to be acting like in the future. Like you kind of have to predict how they're going to be behaving. So now there's a lot of issues with like organized crime in Thailand, so they're trying to clean that up. So that might mean that they raise the financial requirements for the retirement visa,
which is what they were talking about, the retirement visa.
So you can't be angry and say, oh, they just. I mean, if you're going to read the tea leaves, 6 months from now, a year from now, you're probably going to have to need more money for a retirement visa, so you should just start planning for that now.
Yeah, I mean, just to be straight on this, it is all talk at the moment. Nothing's been set in stone. Nobody's kind of brought out, there's no plans at the moment. They're just talking about it. It's something that will probably happen because like you said.
And it's not just that, it's not just the organized crime thing. From what I looked at, those requirements, those financial requirements have been in place for like 20 or 25 years or something. So it's kind of, it's probably due for an update anyway. So with the cost of living and everything going up.
Yeah, and they've, like you said, they've tightened up. They've got really tight recently on all the visas. A lot of younger guys were coming out here on charity visas, language kind of courses, but they weren't actually doing the language course, or they weren't doing the charity, and that's what they're clamping down on. Just looking at my notes here, what would you say the changing requirements would be for the future as far as not the retirement visa, but the kind of visa you're coming in on at the moment?
Well, I'm not on a tourist visa anymore. I'm studying Thai right now in a legitimate Thai school. I would definitely not recommend at this point doing anything like a bit shady, because before they had these fake schools set up and you could just pay and they'll give you it, but now you'll have so many issues. You'll coming into the airport, even in the future if you're not on that visa anymore. I've heard they're scrutinizing people who had those in the past. So I think the education visa is a good option if you want something for like 6 months to a year, if you have the ability and you want to actually go to class and learn Thai. But if you just want an excuse for a visa, there's probably a better option.
Yeah. And like you say, they are tightening up, because I know guys who used to come out here on tourist visas and they'd take a bus to Cambodia every month, and they did that for years. But I think now they've tightened up where you come in by land, there's a maximum of twice a year. They say if you come in by aeroplane, there's no limit, but I'm not sure if that's
there's no
true.
official limit, but it's at their discretion at that point.
Yeah. And what would your predictions be for the future as far as long-term visas for everybody? Is there anything you've been thinking about?
For some people, I used to think the elite visa would be a good option. For some people, like I have a friend that's retired here, but he's in his early 40s, so he's below the retirement visa age. But for him, he just factored it into his budget and got that, and it's no problem. But now even that, they're changing that too. The price may be going up. So
well, they're taking away the bottom tier of the elite visa. Yeah, they're taking away the bottom tier, and they gave people 2 weeks to apply for the next level. But like you said, it's very, very expensive, isn't it?
Yeah, and probably the hardest thing about living in Thailand in general is just that it's hard to predict the future, and things are very unreliable. Just because they do something today doesn't mean it'll be the same in 2 years.
No.
So especially if you're making such a big financial commitment, that's hard to do when you don't know what's going to happen in a few years.
Yeah. I mean, on a totally different subject to the visa, I've got a few questions I'd like to go through here. But condos, how do you feel about buying out here? Because the advice I always give people, based on what you've just said, I always say don't buy. Don't buy. Rent, because 1, it's cheap. 2, you might change your mind and you want to move in. 3, a lot of foreigners lose money on the sale of houses that they buy. They buy a house and they think they're going to be there forever, and they change their minds and they can't sell them. What's your views on buying?
I don't own. I've never owned, but from what I've observed, I agree with you, because there's so much availability here.
Yeah.
As a renter, it's very easy to find a place. The prices are relatively reasonable within a range. There's a lot of different areas, and the thing is, you could buy a new building. You could buy a condo in a new building, and then next year there's another new one right next door. Nobody wants yours. So that's the problem. If you buy, they just build so fast here.
They change the rules. So I'm right with you there.
You can't come here with the mentality that it's the same as your home country.
No, and I definitely still recommend don't buy, rent. Okay, so what about all these people? I made a video a while ago saying, is it still cheap to live here in Thailand? What's your views on the costs? Do you think it's more expensive now? Can you still live relatively cheaply?
Well, it's definitely more expensive. That's objectively true. But the thing is, online, I see a lot of people complaining and other people not complaining. The thing is, if you're moving out to Southeast Asia, because let's say you're retired, you're living on a fixed income, I wouldn't come to Bangkok because I want to live cheap. If that's your main reason for coming here, I think that's probably the wrong reason. Now, it's of course, is a mix of things. There's the culture, the food, the city, the entertainment. So you can, but if your main reason is you have a certain budget you want to stick to and you want to live cheap, I don't think this is the place anymore.
Anywhere you'd recommend that is a cheap place to live?
Even Cambodia. I mean, Cambodia, you can live significantly cheaper. I mean, it's probably 20 years behind Thailand, but I know a lot of people love Thailand. There's other areas in Thailand. You can go to Isan, you can go to the north. Even in the south, there's places, but I just think that in this city, it's not necessarily for the budget person anymore.
And why do you think people who are retired who don't have to live in Bangkok choose to live in Bangkok rather than somewhere cheaper?
Well, I think the entertainment is number one. There's so much to do here.
Yeah.
It's such an exciting place. You can go out literally 24 hours a day and find something.
Yeah, it's a great city. I think for me personally, having a YouTube channel is a great base to kind of go out from. But I don't think I'd live here, to be honest, if I didn't have a YouTube channel, because, like you say, it is getting quite expensive here in Bangkok.
I'm not familiar with Pattaya, but in your opinion, is it a lot cheaper there?
Oh yeah, Pattaya is definitely cheaper. You get a lot more for your money, but then you're in that environment because you know what
That's
Pattaya is.
That's a whole other thing.
Yeah, you can live kind of outside of that lifestyle. Many people do, but yes, definitely condos are cheaper. Drinks and food are a lot cheaper, and there's a lot more choice.
And the thing also is, when we think of Bangkok, a lot of times we think of like certain areas, like Sukhumvit area or wherever, Silom. But if you go a little further out to Udam Sok or Bang Na, that down the line a little more, I mean, it's much more affordable because it's more local community. Even north of the main Sukhumvit area to places like Hoi Kwang, doesn't take that long to get back and forth, but the cost of living there is just so much lower.
Yeah. I have a friend who lives in Bangor, and I find that as well. But the problem I have is because I have pidgin Thai. I can speak very little Thai.
That is the problem.
I can speak a lot of words, but I can't put too many sentences together.
Yeah.
And here in Sukhumvit, obviously, a lot of people, even the Thais, speak English. When you go out to these areas outside the city, the outer areas, you find it's very difficult if you don't speak Thai. Do you find that?
For sure, but to me that's a benefit because if you go to a place like, for example, Hoi Kwang neighborhood, it's not that far north of the Sukhumvit area, maybe 10, 20 minutes. Everything is less expensive. I feel like you have a more authentic experience. People treat you differently. And if the cost of all that benefit is just learning a little Thai, I think that's a good trade-off.
I think, to be fair, I think it's a lot easier when your brain's younger. I mean, you're a fairly young guy at 34. I'm 64 in April, so I would find it a lot more difficult to learn Thai in a school than you would. But yeah, it's a good point. You know, if you want to speak Thai and live in a Thai neighborhood, obviously you're going to save a lot of money.
Yeah.
And rental properties are much more.
And I think people treat you differently. I don't know if you've noticed that when you go to some more local areas versus here. I think personally, around Asok Nana, I think as a foreigner, you get treated the worst.
Yeah. But there's a flip side to that coin because you can, they have everything that they have in the West, and you've got the Thai side, so it suits me, it suits a lot of people. Okay, so let's talk about, because obviously you have got a nice Thai girlfriend. In fact, I interviewed her 2 weeks ago. It's Ying.
I had a lot of fun reading your guys' comments.
Yeah. I mean, most people left nice comments. She's a nice girl, but you always get the odd funny kind of guy who...
maybe I want to actually respond to some of the
please
comments.
do.
I'll give you the true backstory. So
tell the comments and then the answer as well. That'll be interesting.
Some of the comments I saw, because she speaks very good English and she works at a corporate job, right?
Sure.
And so some of the comments were saying like, oh, she's a high-so Thai or something like that. Actually, she's not at all. She comes from very, very modest background, but she just, saved, went to college, got a good job, worked up. She didn't always have this job, so I'm really happy for her. She did what a lot of people want to do. So never worked in a bar or anything like that, but doesn't mean I think you can meet. A lot of people are asking like, where can you meet like a nice normal Thai woman that just doesn't want to stay with you for money, something like that. I think you can meet them literally all over, at the mall, on a dating app, even at the bar. I mean, I have a friend who met a girl at a bar about 4 years ago, and now they're getting married.
Wow. And is that a kind of bar?
Yeah, it's the kind of bar you're thinking of at Soy Cowboy.
I mean, Ying actually said dating apps were a great place to meet. But what about guys who are older like me who don't necessarily, who come here and they don't speak any Thai? It's going to be difficult for them to pick up girls in a mall, isn't it?
No, I don't think it's that. I think that I've been out and I've seen a lot of older guys with younger girls, and I can tell, I think, usually when the girl is with them for money reasons,
Right.
or when they just enjoy being around them.
Sure,
And I think a lot of it just comes down to being able to relate to the other person.
Yeah.
I mean, if you meet someone in a mall, like in a shoe store, I met someone in a shoe store once, and you're just friendly, they're laughing, you're laughing, or whatever, and then you want to get a coffee, you know, whatever. Like you can do that. But what I see is a lot of guys, they come here and they're too forward too quickly.
Right.
Especially if they're kind of set in their ways from their home country.
Yeah, sure.
Here, I think the Thai girls are much more shy and conservative, and they take a little more time to warm up to you.
Yeah. I thought it was quite interesting what Ying said in that interview, where she said if you're on a dating app and you see a girl that you like and she kind of puts out negative feedback, like she doesn't like you, don't give up, because that could be her trying to just test you to see how much you really do.
I actually, from the guy's point of view, I don't think dating apps are that great, especially as you get older, because the girls have so many options, and it's very hard for the girls to get a sense of what you're like and your personality. Now, as guys, it's easy for us to see what they look like, right? But for the girls, it's hard to really see what's the difference between you and someone else.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, what about this question that always comes up? I mean, I guess you've looked at a few videos on my channel, and there's some horrendous stories about relationships on there. As a younger guy, what's your view on go-go bars and beer bars where the girls do speak English, because they're used to meeting a lot of foreigners? Could you ever meet a girl with a view to having her as a real girlfriend, and she's going to stop all her carryings on with other guys?
I'm going to give you the real truth. Okay. So I've been watching your channel since COVID, and I really thought it was interesting because I have a lot of personal experience with this area, and I agree with a lot of what you say. Some things you say I really disagreed with.
Okay, give me an example.
Personal experiences. So what happened was, for the first year I lived here, I never went to like Nana, Soy Cowboy, never went to any of those places.
Okay.
And it wasn't until a friend visited me and I said, where do you want to go? And he said he wanted to check it out. So that's when we went. The thing is, I don't drink alcohol. So some of these places, they're not that great for me anyway, because I'm not drinking. But what happened was, he ended up meeting this girl at a bar. And because of that, he always wanted to go there, and I was with him.
Do I know the bar, or is it something you don't want to?
Yeah, it's in Soy Cowboy. I don't want to say which one, because it might be well known. But,
yeah, sure.
What happened was, because I wasn't a customer, and I wasn't in there getting hammered, I started to get very friendly with a lot of the girls and the management. And over time, I was just like a friend to them, and I learned all kinds of crazy things. So for the first thing I want to point out is, from what I've seen, all of these bar girls are not the same. There's a spectrum. Some of the girls legitimately go in there and they just drink with customers, cheers, whatever, and they go home. And then on the other side, you've got girls in there that are providing extra services, a lot of extra services.
Yeah, sure.
And so it's kind of hard to distinguish who is who, for sure. And maybe sometimes girls start working in there and they think they're only going to do one thing, and a year later they end up doing. So it's very murky, and I think that's part of the problem.
Yeah. They are under a lot of pressure from the management of the bar as well. I mean, if they go in there, I've heard this from girls, because like you, I was once a young guy. I haven't always been 63 here. They're under a lot of pressure, because when they go to work in a bar, they're told, well, you don't have to go off with customers. You can just sit and drink with them, and you can make money on the drinks, and there's a small salary, and they think that's fine. But as the weeks go on, they get, obviously they get pressured, because the bar makes money from them going off with customers. Do you think that's do you think that influences them a lot to actually moving over to that?
So it depends. This is why it's hard, because I met a girl who I went out with for a little while, and she told me that originally she went to work at one bar in Soy Cowboy, but she didn't like it because they told her she had to sell X amount of drinks per week,
she got targeted,
and go with X amount of customers per week. And that's the thing she really didn't want to do. So she ended up going to this other bar where she said it's much more laid back. The management told her, you don't have to do anything you don't want. You can just show up whenever you want, and you'll just get paid, on whatever you make. And for her, the reason she had a day job too.
Oh, wow.
The reason she wanted to work at this bar was mainly to just party and meet foreign customers.
Really?
And so some of the times I think the motivations can be different. Some want to make money. Some are more concerned with maybe meeting a guy that they can get into a relationship with and then leave that scene.
But I think it's quite risky though, isn't it? I mean, if you're looking for a genuine girlfriend and you know, a lot of guys will go down the bar avenue because most of the girls in there speak good English because they haven't been formally educated, but they're used to, they always meet foreigners and they pick it up over the months and the years, and it's just an easy option for guys. They go into a bar and they can have a conversation with a Thai girl, and it ends up, they start dating them, and I mean, I'm sure there are some success stories, but for the most part,
you're exactly right. What you're saying is, I agree with 100%. I'm saying it's possible. It's definitely not the best or the easiest way, I think. And those girls are trained entertainers. They're there day in and day out entertaining foreign customers. So of course it's going to be easier to talk to them. But like I was talking about before, if you put in a little extra effort to understand how the local population works, then it can. I think it can be worth it in the end because you'll meet more of a local, normal girl.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's think of a typical scenario. You've gone into a bar or a go-go bar, you've met this girl, she comes across as real nice, you ask her out for a coffee, you go out for the coffee, that leads to a few dates, a few dinner dates, and eventually she becomes your girlfriend, and you decide, she's one of the girls who works in the bar, she just wants to meet somebody nice to take care of her. What are the implications as far as families go, supporting her, her families, and how far do you go before you say, hey, enough is enough?
This is the catch-22, and this is why getting involved with a bar girl is very messy. Because let's say she really likes you, genuinely likes you, and she doesn't even want money from you.
Right.
The problem is you're never going to see her because she has to work 6 or 7 days a week. And if she's not working, the bar has to be paid a bar fine. And she can't not work and not make money because she needs to send money back to her family in Isan or wherever. So what do you do as the guy in this situation? Your only real option is you need to provide her the salary.
Yeah.
So personally, I've never done that, but I can see why that situation comes up, and a lot of people choose to do that because if you feel like you like someone, you might feel like you have no other choice but to take her out of the situation.
But frankly speaking, I've seen guys do this lots and lots of times, for years, and most of the girls I've seen, they don't stop working. The guy will say like,
that would be true.
You've just said, she has to earn money, she has to send money back to her family. So the guy will say, well, look, I'll give you 20, 30, even 40,000 a month. You go back to the village, wait for me.
Well, that's the thing. In the situations I'm aware of, she moves in with the guy that's living here.
Ah, okay.
That's the difference.
And do you think she stops everything, or she's...
I think sometimes yes, and sometimes no. I mean, sometimes it's in them.
Yeah.
Like, you'll never get it out of them. But other times, I think it's, I don't have to work. Okay, cool. You just don't know.
I always wonder how these guys can afford to pay 40,000 baht a month and their own living expenses. Certainly not something I could do. But okay, so if you did that, what are the signs that she is a good girl?
Yeah, I think the number one sign that she could be a keeper is that she offers to pay at least some of the time, even when it makes no sense. Like, even if you have a good job, you go out to eat and she tries to pay, or like a really early sign I've noticed is, say you meet someone and you're out on the town for a night and you get out of the taxi and she tries to pay the taxi driver or the tuk-tuk driver. Yeah. That, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, especially if you have a Western salary. This girl makes, not a lot and she's trying to pay. But I appreciate the
gesture,
The opposite of that is when maybe you're trying to get a tuk-tuk and she doesn't care about the price. Give the tuk-tuk driver
he works
800 baht. Whatever. That's very, very bad.
So with I hope I'm not getting too personal here. I just want to ask a little bit about you and Ying. So how long have you two been together now?
I've known her for 2.5 years, but we haven't been dating that whole time.
Okay, you're 34. I mean, when I first got here, I was 31, and I know what it was like. But it must be difficult for her because she knows what's on offer out there, and you're going to be a catch to any girl. Does she struggle with jealousy or when other girls look at you?
That is an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed. I never noticed it in the West, but when I came here, I find that Thai women are very possessive.
Very possessive, very jealous.
And it's like the switch flips and they go crazy. So
does it cause many arguments between you?
Yes, it does.
It does, yeah. I kind of knew the answer to that. But how do you pacify her? How do you, is there any way where you can make her kind of calm and say, okay, I believe you, or does you just have to let her get it out of her system?
I don't have a good solution for this. But usually, I mean, the reality is if I want to go with someone else, I can find someone else, but I'm choosing to be with her. Yeah, so
it's just give it a few years, probably she'll start to. No, she won't ever believe you, will she?
That's what I thought, but here we are.
Okay. Okay, Eric, it's been great speaking to you because a lot of the guys I talk to are my sort of age, you know, older guys. You've got a younger perspective here. If you had to offer a youngish guy coming out here for the first time to live, or even a long holiday, what is the best bit of advice you could offer him?
I would say maybe start a little slow. Don't just commit to coming out here for the rest of your life. Don't immediately end up in Nana Plaza, you know, linked up with a bar girl. Maybe just come for a month, travel around a little. Maybe you can talk to girls, but don't go too fast.
Right.
Take your time, kind of take in the environment.
Okay, so before we go, I just want to end because you do have your own YouTube channel. What's it called?
So I currently have a channel called The Endless Voyage, which is just kind of documenting my experiences since I've lived here. And I am just now starting a new channel called One Night in Bangkok, where I've met so many interesting people in this city, yourself included, that I'm just having them on to chat about some of their experiences, their stories here. So everything from bar girls to nightclub managers to real estate agents to all kinds of different people. So
you're going to be doing interviews with different people. That would be great. Yeah.
Do you hope to be married soon?
I hope every year, and we have to talking about we are still don't have enough money.
Okay.
Maybe we will keep money together and we'll have.
Okay, so just the name of your main YouTube channel again is
The Endless Voyage.
The Endless Voyage. And guys, I'll put a link in the description as I did with Ying's channel. How many videos do you have up on that channel right now?
Probably 100.
100 videos, so there's going to be something for everybody on there. But I look forward to your new channel, the interviews. We like a good interview.
We just did a video with a very pretty Thai girl.
Oh. Guys, thanks for watching this. I hope to be doing some more interviews in the future. This is a great location here in the park. It's about 5:10 now. It's starting to cool down, so I think we're gonna grab a beer or something like that, right, Eric?
Sure.
Okay. We all grab a soda water.
Yeah, maybe a chocolate milk.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you on the next video, guys.